Welcome back into another episode of the Josh Holyfield Podcast. Tonight, we're not going to be spending very much time talking about fitness or mindset, which is typically the content that I like to produce and put out. But with this weekly podcast, I've come to the realization that I have more leeway to talk about all of the things that interest me that I can provide value on and advice, because we do the Thursday night Iron Forge calls where we're answering your questions about health, fitness, nutrition, all that stuff. And so now that we have that platform with my coaching staff that's dedicated specifically to solving that problem for you, now what I can do is leverage the platform that I've built with my personal brand to offer a wider array of value to the people of this beautiful planet. I'm going to talk about two things tonight. And this episode, if you're watching, just to find out if this will be of interest to you, is going to talk about two things. And they kind of intertwine. And the first thing I'm going to talk about for the first half an hour, 15 or 20 minutes or so, is what a niche is and how that term has been bastardized and overused, especially in the online coaching space, and what my opinion is of the new concept of niching and how that's going to apply to how you can develop your business and your plan for interacting with and engaging and attracting new customers. And then once we're done talking about this new concept of niche, I'm then going to spend some time talking about the exact content strategy that I've developed to not only develop, but also implemented into my own business and am teaching to my other business consulting clients that will help you to not only build your online presence in your audience with your tribe of people, but also convert that tribe into paying customers and clients for your core offer. Okay. All right, cool. So when I first started in the online fitness space as a coach, this is back in 2019 timeframe. One of the very common things that most business coaches and like the information that you found out there was, if you want to charge high ticket $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for one client, then you need to niche down. The term that they used and that they're still spreading out there is called riches in the niches. And so then what happened was you had all these online personal trainers, these gurus, these coaches who were basically being taught that they had to pick their niche in order to attract and get these high-paying, hyper-successful clients. And so like a really good example of what was being taught, and this is the era of, if you know who Tanner Chittister is and Vince Del Monte, and those guys who are teaching online coaching, they're basically teaching people that if I'm able to solve the very specific niche problems of a audience and speak to those problems in a unique way, then I can charge more. And this is absolutely the case, right? So let me give you an example. If I'm an online coach, personal trainer who specializes in fat loss, that's a pretty general, broad, not very specific, we'll say, skill set. But what if I don't know, specialize in fat loss for travel nurses who struggle to create balance between their job and their health? Oh, shit. Now what I'm doing is I'm basically speaking directly to an avatar. And because I'm speaking directly to that avatar, all of the solutions that I offer, the content that I create, and the coaching that I deliver is going to be specific to that person's problems. And because it's specific to those problems, I can charge more for it because the solution doesn't have to be as adaptable. It's literally directly solving that niche, right? This is powerful. It's very powerful. And it still works. Don't get me wrong. If I'm qualified to provide coaching and training and solutions to that specific demographic or that target audience, or in this case, that niche, then yes, the information that I provide is much more valuable. Therefore, I can charge more for it. There aren't as many online coaches who provide that specific solution for that specific target audience or demographic. So it also cuts out on the amount of, we'll say, the amount of competition that I have. Yeah, there are thousands of personal trainers out there who provide programming and nutrition and diet advice online that I can hire for cheaper. But how many of them specialize in my core specific set of problems, such as travel nurses? Now we've minimized the competition. We've also adapted the solutions that we offer to solve the unique problems of that audience, which in turn substantiates a higher price point. Another good example is, for me, the target audience that I've worked with is blue-collar fathers who, so family men who work in some type of blue-collar job. This has historically been the niche that I worked in with my fitness business and the Iron Forge. Over the years, we've adapted. And the reason for that is because, honestly, the concept of niching down has been watered down, where there's a prerequisite that a lot of people have forgotten about is, before I can niche down to an audience, I first have to be fucking qualified to speak to that audience. So I found myself in places where I had personal trainers come from different business consultants, I'm not going to name names, who were like 22-year-old college dropouts who decided they wanted to go pursue their career as online personal trainers instead of pursue their, degree in exercise science because they thought college sucked and they needed to make money. No practical experience in the real world, no exposure to the corporate or what it's like to have a real job, didn't graduate college. All they have is this ISSA, Certified Personal Trainer cert. And now they're trying to go work with this specific demographic. Let's say, as an example, lawyers. But they have no relation to lawyers whatsoever. No qualification to train lawyers any differently than they do anybody else. But they chose that niche because that seems like it's a profitable, high-value demographic of people who would have the money to pay for a high-ticket offer. And so they forgot the key, like the prerequisite that came with teaching and working with a specific niche was you first have to be somewhat relatable, at least, to that niche. Know what their unique struggles are, their challenges, what they go through, right? That would be like me as a male in his mid-30s, being a coach that works with first-time moms struggling with postpartum depression trying to lose their mommy weight. I have no fucking idea what you go through. No concept whatsoever of what your struggles are. Yet here I am saying that's my target audience, when in fact I have no qualifications whatsoever to be even thinking about providing value to that audience. And so, because of that, over the years, the concept of niching down has been bastardized. And now, every time I go to a personal trainer or an online coach's Instagram profile, their bio says something along the nature of, I help insert niche or target audience achieve ideal outcome without insert major pain point. And it's like cringe at this point. Right? I help new moms overcome postpartum depression without impacting the relationship they have with their husband and struggling with mom guilt. And so now, because this whole concept of online coaching and high-ticket offers and niching down has been so bastardized and, we'll say, mainstream, that the consumer They go to a page like that and they don't even fucking believe that you're qualified. And most of the time, if they read a statement like that, they're fucking running in the opposite direction. So basically what I've done over the past couple years is I've redefined this concept of niche. And what I've done is I've basically taken on the idea that you are the niche. There's no one else like you. No one else has your unique experience. No one else has the ability to speak to the unique problems that you're able to solve. And if instead of focusing on this not so authentic place of I solve this unique problem for this target audience, why don't you just start speaking from a place of experience? That's a concept. The idea and the concept that I've really shoved down the throats of my staff and my coaches who work for me is we teach, we don't preach. And so what that means is if you post content, what you are doing is you are teaching from a place of experience, or you are teaching from a place of this is what we did with my clients or my client, and this is what we learned. And so the idea is this is what I did sounds a lot better than this is what you should do. And what I've personally noticed is that there's no shortage of people on the internet who want to be influencers, who think that their way of creating impact, inspiring, and helping others is speaking from a pulpit. Nobody cares about your opinion or how you think they should live. But you know what they do care about is they care about the problems in their life that they're facing right now. And the thing that qualifies you to provide advice to that person isn't telling that person how they should live. It's sharing that solution from a place of wisdom and experience. So like a good example is like you're a dad, you've been married 10 years, you've got X number of kids, and you're going through a divorce. Okay, so what sounds better? If I open a piece of content and I say, yo, if you're a dad who's going through divorce, you need to stop focusing on all the negative aspects of what your wife did or didn't do. And instead, you need to make your fucking kids a priority because your kids are the ones who are going through this struggle. And maybe instead of being selfish and focusing on all the things that are happening to you in this divorce, you need to wake up and start making your children a priority. If I was going through a divorce and I look back at when I did go through my divorce and I saw a piece of content from somebody like that, I would tell that guy to go fuck himself because you don't know me. You don't know the relationship I have with my kids. And the last thing you're going to do is sit here and tell me what I should and shouldn't do. But what if I framed this conversation instead and I said, hey, if you're a dad with kids and you're struggling with navigating the emotions and the depression and everything that comes with going through a divorce, this is what I went through. And I can tell you right now that one of the biggest regrets that I have after navigating this divorce and going through this process was the fact that I failed to make sure that my kids were the priority 100% of the way through. And I struggled with facing or with dealing with those emotions because it wasn't something I had gone through. And I had so much anger towards my ex-wife and the things that she had done that I allowed it to negatively impact and affect the relationship that I had with my children. And because of that, now I'm struggling to recreate that new relationship with them where our families are separate and we live apart. So my advice for you, if you're in the same boat going through this, is don't worry about what your ex is doing or who's at fault. Instead, focus on doing what's best for the children. Same information, different delivery. In option A, I'm preaching. I'm shoving my message down their throat. I'm telling them how they should live and what they should do. This is what most people do when they assume this influencer, coach, consultant, guru, expert role. They preach. Option B is I'm delivering the same information, but instead, my authority is implied through the experience, aka all I'm doing here is sharing with you what I went through and offering you the reflection that I had after the fact. People are much more likely to like you, listen to you, and trust you if you deliver your content from a place of experience rather than a place of, we'll say, authority. This is the core concept of you are the niche. Is if you are an online business owner and you're providing a service, don't worry so much about what your niche is and who you serve. And all you have to do is just go out there and start speaking your truth from a place of integrity in the problems that you've had to navigate and solve in your own life for yourself. And when you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to go out into the world, or that content's going to go out into the world, and it's going to attract the people who have those problems. So to give you another example, to help you to understand or to digest this concept, is if my iPhone broke, okay, and then I fixed my iPhone, and after I fixed my iPhone, I went and I created a video explaining what the problem was and then how I fixed it. Who do you think is going to consume that content? Probably people who have a broken iPhone. If I used to be overweight and struggled with an immense amount of depression after I got out of the military and used alcohol and drugs to mask that depression, which ultimately led to my divorce and me going on this transformation journey and this personal development journey, which ultimately brought me here where I'm in great shape and all the things that I have right now, and I share those experiences and that story, who do you think is going to consume that content? The people who are struggling with the depression and the anxiety and the PTSD and being overweight, who need help overcoming those things after facing a divorce. This may not seem like it's that fucking groundbreaking, but it is. The people who consume your content are the ones who need that problem solved. So my niche is me, aka my niche is the people who are going through the problems in their life that I've already navigated and overcome. And so now what we're doing is we're always teaching from a place of experience and just passing our knowledge and our wisdom down the line. And if I operate from this frame of mind in the way that I serve my audience and who I'm working with, what happens? A couple things happen. The first thing that happens is I'm always going to attract the people who I can relate with and connect with, because they wouldn't consume my content unless they thought I was relatable. Okay? The second really cool thing that happens is you never find yourself in a place where you have to deliver your service or your product to a person who you don't want to. Why? Because my guess is you're probably very passionate about solving the problems for your audience that you have experience solving. If you're operating from a place of teaching from wisdom and experience and just sharing your truth, you're only going to attract people who you are qualified to coach, to create value for. And the thing that I think is most cool about this that happens is you never have to worry about stepping out of alignment with your authenticity or being genuine, because you're not creating content or sharing stories or helping your audience from a place of needing to create content. Instead, you're just doing it from a place of, hey, this is what I did, and now I'm telling you about it. Nobody can ever refute that authority. You're just sharing your story. People like stories. So if you're an online business owner or you're a coach or whatever the case may be, and you're struggling with what type of content you should create in attracting your ideal audience and what that looks like, my advice to you is this. Just speak your truth, share your story, and focus on just delivering the solutions in your content that you had to find yourself through the problems in your own life that you navigated, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. This is something that I have really, like, when I first started my online fitness business, that's what I did, and I didn't even realize I did it. If you read, like, the first part of my book, it says, I didn't choose the blue-collar fathers, they chose me. And then I go on to explain, like, all I did was just go out there and share my story, and my tribe found me, and now here we are, right? Over the last year or so, I think maybe year or two, I've probably veered a little bit away from that because I was more focused on marketing and sales and building this business, and I'm 7 figures, and I need to do it this way. The truth is in the last month or two, I've really focused on going back to basics, and you can actually see on the revenue in my business, like, the second I went back to just being that original, authentic version of myself and sharing my story and just being genuine, suddenly our revenue numbers went back through the fucking ceiling. It's like, oh my God, all this time I've been focusing on how I need to market my services and my coaching, when the whole time all I needed to do was just go back to what I did on day one. And literally day one, the very first video that my fitness business advertised was I'm standing in a wife beater at my counter in my house, making myself a pre-workout. Basically, yo, just want to let you guys know that I had a bunch of buddies at work ask me for help working out if I could write them a program. So what I decided to do, instead of write them all individual programs, was just write the 4-week plan that I use. I put it in a free PDF. If you want a copy, tap the link below, enter your email address, I'll send it to you for free. Bro, we were getting leads, and I don't know if you guys know these numbers, if you're a marketer, I was getting leads for 40 cents with that video, which right now, my cost per lead for context is like $9. We're getting 40-cent leads, okay? We gave away 40,000 copies of that 4-week program a few years ago when we first launched, and it only cost me like $1,000. It's insane. Like, those numbers are fucking unheard of. Now, obviously, the cost of advertising has gone up significantly over the past few years, but still, back in 2019, those numbers were insane. Why? Because I literally just was myself, pulled out my phone, provided value to my audience. Okay? So with that said, what I'm going to do for you tonight is we're going to make a transition. And if you're a business owner and you create content online, okay, I'm going to give you the exact framework that you can implement into your business right now that is going to attract your best, most ideal, highest paying, high quality clients. And you won't have to sacrifice your authenticity or being genuine. All you are going to do is let your clients speak for themselves. Okay? So here's what I do. I own an online fitness coaching company called The Iron Forge. If you guys don't know, The Iron Forge has 4 full-time coaches, James, John, Quentin, and Rob. And between the 4 of them, we carry, I would probably say, 100 or so clients. Pretty busy. The price range for my coaching is between $500 and $1,000 a month. And so you can see that we make a significant amount. In addition to the coaching that we offer, we also sell programs that are self-paced. People can buy them and use them in the mobile app. The price of those programs range between $30 and $70. This company does anywhere around $100K a month in sales. And here's what we do. This is the exact process that we do for content creation. Okay, you can literally copy paste this into your business. Typically, our client check-ins happen on the weekends. Okay, like for me, my client check-ins take place on Sunday mornings. And the format of that client check-in is to obviously check in with the client for accountability, to optimize their program, but most importantly, it's to solve their problems. Okay? And so every time I have a client who who I get on their check-in with. I have my notepad right here. And what I do is I write down the problem that I solved for each one of my clients that week. What was the big problem that they had? Okay. This can be related to leadership, mindset, nutrition, accountability, fitness, working out. The scope of the type of coaching that we provide varies from client to client based upon what their individual needs are and kind of where they are with the program, right? I have some clients who've been with me for years. The biggest problem that I solve for them is I make their life a fucking hell of a lot more convenient because I take all of the guesswork out of what they need to do to see results as far as their fitness or health goals are. I just give them the plan. And then we use the check-in to do an optimization for them to make sure that the plan is in perfect alignment with what their priorities are. So I create efficiency for them. Some of our clients, the big problem that we solve for them is accountability. They need somebody to, keep them accountable to the commitment that they make to themselves, right? Other clients that we have, they need a coach to make sure that they're doing what they should be doing. And not just that, but they need that influence in their life that they can lean on as a resource to make sure that they're, confident in whatever it is that they need, right? Maybe they don't have friends or family members who are health conscious. And so what they do is they pay to have the convenience of having a coach in their back pocket. That way, anytime they need to have a question or they need support, we're right there to give it to them. So there's a plethora of different reasons why. But long story short, it doesn't really matter why they hire me. What you should be focused on is why they hire you. During our check-in, we basically do an Army AR style check-in. We start the call with, how do you feel? Very simple. How are you feeling this week? A lot of times if there's a problem, that very first question is going to spark the major problem that we're going to solve for that client. If not, no problem. The next question is what do you feel like you did really well with this week? And then we ask them, what do you feel like you could have done to improve? Right? And then the final question is what do you think a good goal is moving forward for next week? And typically through the course of answering those 4 questions, the customer is going to drive the direction of that check-in based upon the support that they need or what the next steps are in their development. All right, like I said, we do our check-in. We write down all the problems that we solve for all of our clients every week, specifically, okay? Then, once I've done all of my check-ins for the week with all of my clients, on Tuesdays, my business, we do a Tuesday staff call where I get onto the call with all of my coaching staff. So it's me with all of my coaches. We sit down on a call. The very first part of the call is admin. What do you guys need from me? What questions do you have? Is there any support you need? Any issues? Okay, cool. Once we get all the admin stuff knocked out, then we immediately go into, okay, what are the major problems that you solved for your clients this week? And we write them all down on a big list. The first thing that we're looking for is commonalities, right? Did we have a major problem that seemed to stand out for most of our customers this week? Is there a trend that we're noticing? Okay. Are there problems on that list that are more prominent? Is there something that we solved this week that we haven't solved for our audience before? And so we're having a conversation about these problems that we solved, okay? And then through that conversation, we typically come up with a handful of candidates. And the candidates that we're looking for are, if I was to create video content talking about that solves this problem, would it be valuable to our other clients? Yes or no? Okay, yes. And how prevalent do you think that would be for everybody else? And then based upon that, we make a decision on what our video topic is going to be for the week. Okay? Then on Thursdays, we give ourselves a couple days to prep. We do a long form video. This long form video is between 90 minutes and 2 hours. where we bring all of our clients onto one big Zoom call. We also live stream it. And during that call, we actually talk about that problem. Literally, collectively, as a coaching staff, go through and solve that problem for our audience writ large. So last week, as an example, the problem that we solved for our core audience was navigating meal prep. How do I, considering all the potential problems that one may run into, who's part of our ideal audience, what are the solutions that we can offer to help them be more compliant and do a better job with preparing their meals for the week? Very simple. And then, so if you guys go and look on my Iron Forge Instagram and Facebook page, you'll notice that all of the reels, the short form video clips that we have that we're going to publish this week are talking about meal prep, right? So check this out. After the long form video is done, I send it off to my editor. And that editor, what he does is he takes that and he chops it into short form clips to be used for TikTok and Instagram and Facebook reels. There you go. This week, on Thursday, my staff and I, we're going to be talking about how successful men and high performers have built their success on the shoulders of bad habits, right? What does that mean? So as an example, like for me, when I first started as an entrepreneur online, there were plenty of days where my health went out the window. The relationship with my wife and my kids went out the window. I didn't have work-life balance. My goal was to build my business, which meant basically from the time I woke up in the morning until the time I went to sleep, typically 18 hours a day for a long time, I grinded away at building my business. Now that I've turned my business into something successful, I can go back and realign my priorities and understand that what I was doing wasn't sustainable. There wasn't balance. My health took a hit. My relationship, the quality of my relationships with my wife and kids took a hit. And so now that I've created the success that I want to create, I can now step back and start creating healthy habits for myself because I'm no longer in that sprint building mindset that I was in. Interesting. This is something that a lot of our best, most successful, highest performing clients struggled with is they put their health and the relationships with their family to the wayside so that they could turn and focus on building their career or their business. And now that they've built the success over here, they don't know how to navigate over here. And so Thursday's call is going to be literally focusing on teaching them how to implement healthy habits over here and establish healthy relationships with their family now that they have their business into a place where it's stable and predictable and they don't have to sacrifice balance in order to build it. How did we come up with this idea for content? That's something that most of our clients, especially the most qualified, highest paying, most successful, best clients to work with, struggled with. And that's a problem that we've effectively solved for a lot of them. And so now that we've demonstrated our ability to solve this and we've created mechanisms and mindset shift and techniques, etc., showing how to do that, we can now turn around and create content for our larger audience, solving that problem for them. So what does that do? What that does is it goes out into internet land. And just like I talked about earlier with the niche situation, that content is now going to attract more people who have that problem. Pretty sweet. The content that you create attracts the people who have the problem it solves. This is how we use our own clients to attract more clients like them. I have several clients who are hyper successful 7, 8, and even 9-figure entrepreneurs who I work with. check in with every week. I'm actively solving specific problems for those people. How do I know? Because if I wasn't solving their problems, they would not be willing to pay me. And so if I want to attract more people like them, then I need to create more content that solves the same problems they have. I don't know, maybe you've heard the quote, you can define the quality of a man based upon the size of his problems. I, as a business coach, can tell you how successful other online coaches are based upon the problems that they solve with their content. If you're not solving problems at all with your content, that's exactly why you don't have any fucking clients, right? And if you're solving low value problems for your audience, that's the exact reason why you don't have high paying, high value clients. So I'm going to give you this one last example. Then I'm going to give you a recap of the system, that actual process that we do for content production. And then we're going to call it a night. Okay. This is the example I gave my coaching staff earlier today. I, as an example, understand that as a man, I have a responsibility to provide for my family, to do my job, to protect and provide, to show up in my business for myself, take care of my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health every day, regardless of how I feel. I have an obligation as a man to do that every single day, period. How I feel is not relevant when it comes to that responsibility. It is my job. And if you are a man, you understand exactly where I'm coming from when I share that perspective. When I have another grown man come to me and tell me that he's struggling to stay on track with fulfilling those obligations that I just listed, including staying healthy, going to the gym, eating right, and being in shape, and being an example for his sons and his daughters, I don't have any respect for that man. You telling me that you are not motivated tells me that your decision-making and what you do is driven by how you fucking feel. And if you're a man and the decisions that you make about what you do are driven by how you feel, then my guess is you have a problem with fulfilling commitments that you make to others as well as the commitments that you make with yourself. You struggle with integrity. And I can fucking tell you right now that if you're a man and you struggle with integrity, I do not want you anywhere fucking near me because I prioritize integrity. Now, this isn't a knock on you. If you're a guy who struggles with motivation, that's fine. There's plenty of podcasts out there and support groups and fucking Instagram influencers who are going to give you motivational speeches and David Goggins carry the boats demonstrations. I'm not that guy. And here's why. Okay. 100% of the most successful clients that I work with, the last fucking problem that they have is lacking motivation. It's the last fucking thing they're worried about is motivation. They're successful because they do things despite how they feel. And so if I turn around and I start creating content on my social profiles talking about motivation and why motivation is false and I need to build discipline and blah, blah, like all the shit that you see out there, then what am I doing? I am attracting people into my social circle, onto my ecosystem, towards my profile, who struggle with motivation. If I'm creating content that's solely focused on creating motivation for people, then the people that I'm attracting are people who need that. And it just so happens that based upon my experience of working and coaching for the past 5 years online and selling millions of dollars worth of coaching, the worst clients, and typically the ones who can't afford the coaching in the first place, are the ones who don't have motivation. They're the ones who need a babysitter. They want their hand held. They want accountability. That's exactly why they're struggling to stay consistent and be successful with their career or their business, is because they make decisions about what they're doing or their actions based upon how they feel, aka whether or not they're motivated, which is exactly why they're in the fucking situation they're in the first place. which is why they're overweight, which is why they struggle with finances, which is why their relationship is struggling, which is why they're depressed and unhappy, is because they are so arrogant that they believe their emotions or their feelings are more important than everything else. Those are not the people that I want to work with. And so if I don't want to work with those types of people who are broke, struggle with motivation, and have a victim mindset, then I need to stay as far away from creating content that talks about that stuff as I possibly can. Why? Because I don't want to attract those people. Agree? You have to create content that solves the unique problems of your ideal customer avatar. And if you focus on doing that and avoid creating content that solves any other problem, what happens is you build a tribe of people who have those same collective, we'll say, high-value problems. Then when it comes to the point in time where you're going to close those people as actual clients, you have authority, you have trust, you have goodwill. It's much easier to bring those people to the finish line because you've already demonstrated that you're able to solve their problems. You've created an immense amount of value in their life already. So then when you close those people, those new clients who came from that content, they get fed back into the machine. Where again, let me remind you what this content creation machine is. I use my client check-ins. I document the unique problems that I solved for every client. Then those problems that I solved during those client check-ins, aka the paying clients, is what drives the content that I produce. The way that I do it is we have one long form video per week that we cut, which is typically 90 minutes long. That's what this is, okay? This hour-long video that I'm cutting for you business owners right now is going to be hung on YouTube. And then my editor, he's going to take this video and he's going to chop it up into bite-sized clips that solve specific, unique problems that you business owners have. And then we're going to put those short-form clips back onto my social profile, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Then what's going to happen is hopefully, which has happened in the past consistently, one of those short-form videos pops off and goes viral. What happens then? Here's the secret sauce. When one of those videos pops off and goes viral, what that means is that my ideal audience raised their hand and they said, I like that content, share, comment, cool. Then I take that piece of content and I put it over here in a bucket. And that bucket, I put ad money behind. I boost that post to my ideal audience as a target to go out and get more people like you, my ideal audience. Then the people who watch that video, a certain percentage of it, I then retarget with an ad presenting my offer for coaching. So you guys are the ones who are feeding my messaging, my content, and the way that I affirm that the things I'm talking about are what I should be talking about is I use the TikTok and Instagram and Facebook Reel algorithm to tell me what you want to hear, which is then double confirmed when I have the client check-ins and the sales calls that I do, which then drive that messaging even further. And so what happens is we create what we call a self-licking ice cream cone, where this content continues to improve in terms of the quality of the messaging over time to a point where I am so good at speaking directly to the unique, specific, nuanced problems of my best, most ideal, perfect avatar that my ads, my content, and everything that I produce becomes effortless and my business scales. This is what we do to build a highly profitable, highly scalable services-based company. The customer is driving the content. Anyway, I'm the first person to talk about this publicly, okay? I've consumed all of Alex Hormozi, any business-related content, Donald Miller. No one is doing what I'm talking about doing here, okay? And I can tell you right now, if you do what I'm talking about doing right here, this is the secret that the guys like Gary Vaynerchuk have been trying to articulate. I have literally doubled my business in the last 90 days since doing this. I've scaled another business from $40,000 a month to $110,000 in 1 month by implementing this. Okay. I'm implementing this into 2 other businesses right now, and the success is almost instant. Okay. So if you want to get started with something like this and implementing this system into your online coaching or services-based company, drop me a line, shoot me a message. It's not as hard as you think it is. I obviously gave you the whole framework. You could even do it yourself. But I'll even go as far as setting this up or teaching your team how to set this up in your Facebook ads account so that the audience feeds itself and it builds upon itself. So what happens is we use ads to not only build the audience, but we also use them to convert that audience into paying customers, okay? So if you're interested, you want to learn more, drop me a line. I hope this video was valuable for you. This is the first of this type that we've done on the Josh Holyfield podcast, but I definitely want to do more business-related content for you guys on this platform since, like I said, we have the Iron Forge that's been dedicated specifically to the fitness, health related stuff. Okay. So again, it's been an hour. I hope this was valuable for you.